is a 511. So that's a blessing. But let's stop right there. That's that MD side, that Huber side of MD. Stop right there before we go any further. I'm way across town right now. And of course there will be another incoming video after this one here. But we were having too many, we had a couple of them, Dimolicious for something not to happen. But I'm sure you read the caption, and where it said, it's a beautiful breeze, yet the sun is still out, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful breeze. Beautiful breeze. Let me make sure we had Glad up there locked. Let me walk back. Just get within distance. That shadow of MD is something else. Okay, there you go. And this is purposed, where we knew we would do a live video once the servant received the call. And isn't it amazing how when you go places, of all the people that that stores and banks and all encounter, mail, postal offices encounter, how you always seem to, your name never seems to leave people's lips. Your name or whatever seems to stick out. So there's rooms to go. Let's use the crosswalk. Which one would you choose? You know how we have a day and time that we're living in where, folks can't choose. If it come down to where you had to choose life or death, or which one, the world we live in now is the kind of world that, it's a eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and catch a monkey by its toe, as if people still believe or think they are a monkey, or they done put it in the spirit about a monkey. And so they eeny, meeny, that's interesting. Look, stay focused, MD. Look at all of that. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because they tell you mushrooms are toxic, and look at that. And so you have so many things out there, is where we had to stop and show you that. But there's rooms to go over there. We'll get closer. And then there's city furniture right here. And so the question was, which one, if you had to choose, which one would it be? And somebody that really wouldn't choose or don't know how to choose, they would say, it would be neither one for me. But the question is, if you had to. H-A-D. Now, I want to go all the way out there because this might be a little out there in the wind for some folks, but and this is alive. I'm mother, founder of I Am Sit Me, builder of the signature storehouse, carrier of the blessing of promise, known and seen, or should we say seen and heard, as BOP. B-O-P. Ain't nothing like that BOP. It's either going to hit you in the head, hit that nugget, or it's going to get in your feet. But no doubt about it, surely, if it hit that nugget first, it's going to get in your feet. It's going to bring about a praise. But we want to talk about something because, see, some of us, and this could also bless some of the leaders, and this might be that live for today where we would normally speak to our leaders, leaders of the future, leaders over small ministries, leaders over all denominations, that kind of thing. It could have been this. This might be that video. How about that? This could be that video. From might to could and should. But as a leader, you know, and in life, I've had to make some very difficult decisions. To the birth of my child, one of my children, I had to make a decision. And to hear a nurse say to a servant these words, don't you know your child could die? And sometimes, you know, some of them nurses out there, they use words like transparent. But some folks, the reason why they use transparent is because they want to throw something in and they want to hide behind that they want to be honest and open. But really, they just want to hit you with something, you understand, to kind of knock you off balance. So you got to know how to deal with even folks that want to be transparent, quote unquote. Make sure you have an answer for them kind of folks, because they can really hide behind who they really truly are with that one word, transparent, and they want you to believe that they are being real. But rooms to go or city furniture. So we stopped here first. His servant did. We stopped right here. And let's rewind there for a second. Making that, well, mother, what do you mean? Making a decision whether to let him live or die. Now, the person that we were married to chose to a procedure that we did not choose, and we said that if it was for him to suffer like that, then God would go ahead and take him, because it's not the will of God that we suffer. The only thing we're to suffer is persecution, and we see that many cannot even take that, and that's the only thing really to suffer is persecution. You get past the point where you can suffer persecution, you out there right now. MD's out there in the wind. You know what that means? The spirit roams. Some folks think that as leaders, like his servant and all, we just are supposed to just have a mainstream of folks and just talk to the same people over and over and over, and most of them be recycled. That's not I am sent me. All right, we back. And so we chose not to put him on the ECMO machine. You do your research. And always saw people that were on ECMO machine for a very long time. Some didn't even make it off the ECMO machine. And when God spoke to his servant and said, no ECMO machine, those are the words we had to stand on. No ECMO machine. Don't you know your son could die? No ECMO machine. The hospital wasn't equipped for him. No ECMO machine. And all of what they did and all of what they said, thank God today, someone that they gave up to die at birth is still here. So we've had to have some real, had to make kind of decisions, and that's what you stand on, you understand, so that you don't be weak at the knees and your backbone don't slip and all that kind of stuff. You stand on what you stand on, and that's it. And there is no consequences to punish you when you're standing on what you believe, and what you believe, if it aligns with the word of God, it's right. And the only ones that really want to punish you are those that heart, soul, mind, body, all that is not in touch with the spirit, which is God. A God of love, a God of peace, a God of understanding, sovereignty, change not. That kind of God. So we went over here first to city, because you know about that Go City kind of thing. Feet in action. That's what's happening right now. Went there first, and they had a very nice sofa that we were looking for, that we could put on the set of MD, Platform for Light and Life. They had a nice one. It went between a a grayish blue, but it was not that blue. You know how some things are just like we said, his servant is not, and that even that MD part of his servant is not nitpicky, but with very, very detailed, right down to the smallest detail, right on down to that daimolicious kind of thing. You know what I mean? And saw one. It was a sofa sleeper. Had no idea that sofa sleepers from back in the day. You could tell it was a long time ago when MD bought anything like that. It was one so expensive for just average material. And saw one in there, but wasn't really going to settle with that because we already saw the blue. So then, right on side of it, is that not something? I thought only churches did this, put up a church right on side of another church. But right here, you have two furniture places. You have a city. MD don't know which one came first, but you have a city furniture, and then you have a rooms to go. Now, one thing about rooms to go, because we come out of there, well, let me keep shopping. We didn't just stop at the first store. So we end up going over here. You can see Glad parked over there behind that stop sign. Went over there. And I'm like, it says rooms, and that was my first time going to rooms to go, honestly. And all these years, been in Florida now, coming up on 26 years. The ministry just hit 25 in the month of March. We're pretty much up the way now, about to hit 26. That's going to be like, I'm telling you, Lord have mercy. And they be who I feel God. I'm out there to win, y'all. Y'all reel her back in. So went over there, looking at the colors and all, and you see it in the rooms, you see it in the two, you see it in the go, but no blue. So we go over there and like, oh, it's a rooms, well, it says rooms to go. Let me just go in there. So we go in there, and I imagine all of them over there must be the employees that work there. But you see this parking lot compared to this parking lot and all. And, well, pretty much even out, you probably would say. I don't know, but looks like it's a little bit more over there on that rooms to go. So went over there, and there's this, honestly, MD can't lie. There's this perfect blue. See how pretty that sky is. There was this perfect blue sofa. Walked in, and the first salesperson that didn't even let me get 2 steps in the door, she come upon me, and and then all of a sudden she got she received a phone call from a family member, and she just left MD standing there, stranded kind of thing, And then here comes this sweet lady by the name of Michelle. She said she called herself MJ. When she met MD, she said she's MJ. And we shared and had a very good time together. Really didn't anticipate, buying a sofa on the spot. MD was really on the way to the bank. Hopefully someone will learn from this encounter and this experience. How about that? This experience that his servant had. And so we saw it, and whoop-de, la la la. There it is. The perfect sofa. The perfect color. The perfect fabric to set it on the MD platform for light and life. All excited, set that thing up for it to happen on June the 26th, which is a building day. So what a perfect time this could happen. Because his servant is always forever building, forever birthing, and forever building. So, find that sofa. It's perfect. Let me go walk the parking lot of them over there, and then before we come back to this city furniture and close this actual video. But this is a lie for us that might, could, should be our life for today, for the future leaders. Leaders over small denominations and leaders over all denominations. Over small ministries. I believe that's how it goes. And that's rooms to go. I'm Mother, founder of I Am Sit Me, builder of the Signature Storehouse, carrier of the Blessing of Promise, seen and heard as BOP. That's what his servant been doing for the last, coming up on 26 years as of the day 9/11. Beautiful day, set it up all right. Inside the store was like, that's a good day. 26. What could possibly go wrong? It's the perfect piece of furniture. It's a sofa sleeper. Perfect color. I mean, everything that the two cushions, not 3 but 2. I mean, it was perfect. On the 26th, it arrived. We have a small video of what occurred. We'll link it to here. But we couldn't get that sofa bed when it come out. We couldn't get it to lay flat. The centerpiece of it laid flat on the floor, but the extended part of it would not. So, MD is like that one-of-a-kind kind of person. Like, all right, we gave him an opportunity. That's it. So we call and first of all I text. The servant text Michelle, let her know what was going on. Might as well get that exercise in. And let her see that through the video and all what had happened. Let her know, we'll be coming to get the refund. Stay with us, servant, for a minute or two. We're going to come and get the refund. I know I felt the yoke. His servant felt that yoke. Come and get that refund. And thanks for your help. So instead of her doing it in a refund manner, she did a return. So then the people showed up. After I found out what she did, I said to her, all right, we'll do it one more time. All right. So we did give them another chance. The second time, because the first time wasn't done the correct way, even as we requested, just, refund the money back. And it was within the 48 hours. That was the clause that later on was wanted to be a problem. But I'm like, stores like this that's so big, most stores you go to, if there is no refund, they don't try to put it in a real teeny line where you don't read it and they know you won't read it, which we should read it. Even if it take you a good minute or so and all just to slow down and like, let me just take this home or whatever and let me just step outside and just let me sit at this table. Let me read through this. Make sure we bring our magnifying glass because sometimes the writing can be just that small. And so how about the second time that comes around and it's scheduled for one day? Listen now, listen. Hear us in place of spirit. It's scheduled for one day after his servant's 62nd birthday. July the 1st is scheduled for that one day after. So here they come. We get up early in the morning because this time they're not coming in the evening. They're coming early in the morning. So we're not the 11th stop or the 10th stop. Now we're like way up to like, the early stops. About 8:45, they're around, come. This gentleman was an awesome delivery guy. I must give him credit. The one that was the second delivery person, he was very awesome. And so he has it. He calls me, tell me he's just right up there. Within 15 minutes, he's going to be there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, get there. I'm outside the lodge, meet him. And one thing he did that was, set him aside from where we're going next, because sometimes you just could be in a bundle of a bad apple, or in the bundle of, how you get all these good apples, but there's one piece in there that's just rotten, and they know it's rotten because they done mixed the fresh apples with the old apples. You know what I'm talking about. Oranges, any type of food, that you know how it is. And coming up on Glad had to find me we have a detail, but he's just so busy here lately. So how about it gets there on the 2nd of July. It gets there on the 2nd of July. Meet this young gentleman. And he had this policy about himself, and he said unto his servant, he said, before we take it upstairs, he said, I want to look over it. Because he understands what happened the first time. So he's going beyond the call of duty. This is what I always do. That's a good win coming up today. This is what I always do. Ooh, that's a powerful win. Let me keep still. MD was so little. So, Debbie and I, whatever you call it, was it D-E-B-B-Y, whatever you call that storm, we already had a talk. We had a talk just like MD had a talk with Elsie, but Elsa brought his servant right out to the eye of it and was standing right over the eye of it and telling it that it needs to go back out to the sea, but it won't be coming to Florida, and it did just that. So, he's like, I want to look it over before we take it up in a unit. That way, if something wrong, we catch it right here. So remind you that the first one is still up there. And, but this young man wanted to be so precise with his delivery that he didn't want to make an error. So it's in the wrap as his servant requested, that they keep it in the wrap. That way it is hopefully a new furniture. It's not something that somebody had and they want to deliver it to you because they didn't want it. You know how it is. So he looks over it, he gives it his approval, and then I'm standing right there as he's looking over it, and finally his servant is like this, said to the young man, let me look at it. Let me view just like what you viewed, and he had no problem with it. Okay, go ahead. And so his servant did that. And as I'm doing it, there's this area that looked very unusual. We took a photo of that. He actually did it and gave it to his servant. And the photo that he took, let's go to distance. The photo that he took, I'm back on the side of the city furniture. The photo that he took, so you can see, don't want to turn too fast so we stay in it. MD putting in that workout. The photo that he took, and we have it on where we can put it and link it to this particular live. When I showed it to him, I'm like, what's this right here? He said, oh, I didn't even see that. And what it was a big size ponch. How he could have missed it, MD don't know, but that's that detail. Had a big old punctured of a hole in front of it. And the fabric had been punched out just that much, where the Lord gave his servant a lift up thine eyes moment to see it. Just imagine if the servant ones that there or those that are at the lodge didn't know what to look for, we've been stuck. But the Lord knew, because the first one wasn't done right. You understand? No way in the world the second one was going to be right, because of how it was handled the first time. Right? One day, I like that. I like that for my sons. They like that charger. I like to give every last one of them a gift, because they like that charger. And I hope you can't take that the wrong way. Not all of the years of 20 years of giving back to a church, people hard head, stick, bent over backwards and didn't want to live right, giving back to them every dime. And all, nowhere in the world could anybody take that one out of content. Houses and home, and here's the light that many of them was told not to do it, and got themselves in situations and somehow expect and looking forward and wanting you to get them out. But why couldn't you just listen the first time? But yet the sovereignty of our God. I don't know. I certainly don't know when some folks gonna get it. And so he didn't know how he could miss it, but the Spirit didn't want it to be missed. Allowed his servant to have a lift up thine eyes, and oop, there it was. Love the lights on the inside of this place. Big old hole in the baseboard part of the sofa. The sofa that was perfect blue. Perfect fabric. I mean, you name it. It was the perfect of perfect. MD like it. I don't like standing too close to these electrical. We need to save the oil, y'all. Let's not go all electrical. Get one of them power grids and all that to not work. We're gonna be in trouble. We really don't want to be in a world that's all electrical. Save that oil. Could it be that they want to sell us out and sell off all the oil, or they're in a situation where they know that the oil's in trouble that way, and want to go push early for the electrical cars and all of those kind of things, and let me keep moving right along. And so, save that oil. And that's twofold. The oil that's that rich oil too. We'll link it all here. We don't have to stay too long in one place. But, that second sofa was worse than the first one because it has a hole in it. Punctured, and the delivery person did not see it, but the patience and the policy that he had of wanting to check it before it goes up into anyone's unit or anyone's place of stay was a good policy, something he could stand on, because it gave his servant an opportunity to come down and look at it and to see and discover that it's damaged. So that's the second time, and we already let her know after this it wasn't going to be no more. And so she tried to slip in another return, and by this time, 7-Eleven, we end up having an encounter with she couldn't hear the refund, Stay with us for a second. Couldn't hear the refund, but kept returning. Then finally, the third, because they say 3 strikes you out, I'm like, the first one hit a home run. So it was showing you that, you understand, we can work with you. If you want to be worked with, we can work with you. But you know how people, they can be so nice. This is not Michelle now, but you know how that folks can be so nice to want to sell you something that when something wrong with it, they be distanced. It's like they get a new address, a new telephone number, you know, all kind of stuff when they know they done messed up, but they have your money. And so standing between, which one would you choose? Rooms to go or city furniture? Every time we see one of those Cadillacs with those lines, look, there's one, we'll just point that direction. Every time the servant see one, that long style, look like a hearse. And we would hear the Spirit say, the enemy that you see today, you won't see no more forever. We on them days. We on that kind of timing. Lord, may they take care of our trees, the greenery. You understand? They get the money, Lord. Why don't they just take care of them? You understand? The people coming in here buying furniture, whoever this land and property belong to. And you see how his servant is pushing for us to have our own land. This won't be in our land. Love our trees. Love on that green. Love on them, all that oxygen. Love on that. We don't want to see all of our greenery and trees and everything and things like this be substituted. Our pine trees, our palm trees, and all be substituted with towers, 5G towers of, Babylon. Keep all the forests we can. Take care of our forests. Take care of our greenery. All of that. But hear us well. So the third person pops up, and because it wasn't done right the first time, this one come and we noticed that all the stops, now we're kind of like last on the list this time, and of all the stops, let's find this shade and stay here for a second. Of all the stops, there was this one stop that he stopped at. Remember this right here was the stop number 8, and he was there for a very long time, very long time. Every time we would check, he was still at stop number 8. So then finally he gets there to that stop number 11. You got to be open for all of this. He gets there at look like we parked on side of one as well. Look at that. Look at that. If we see it, lift up that eye. Let me go and walk up here. One just pull up here. And look like we right on side of one right here. It looked the same. Have that same type of lighting. And the light that comes with that is the enemy that you see today, you won't see no more forever. Hallelujah. Let me grab that one in the spirit. So this individual, he come. No, we come to stop a lot of this stuff. Because we're coming to a place where, you know, those that are like, I don't know, they're in that danger zone. And may one of this, may a video like this, may it get your attention. Because sometimes people can't really see. But like, as we come and we share with you that light is something you could see. To make your life easy. So sometimes people have to get a, you know, whether they call it a revelation, we call it light. Even revelation needs light. Because they really can't see. So if they really can't see, then they're tossed between two opinions. And they eeny, meeny, miny, mo, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, all that kind of stuff. Multiple choice. But if they really had to choose, yes, no, black, white, so many of them, yep, that's the same type of vehicle. Parked on side of glass, parked right there on side of glass, sure is. But hear us well, hear us well. that what that might be, could be, should be, this gonna be the video for us today. Third person come, and like we said, he was at stop 8 for a while. 8 represents spirit. He get there and his spirit is off. His spirit is off. When I say his spirit is off, his spirit was off. He's a real big, huge guy. At that time, his servant didn't have not one of those 4 sons, in the area, or should we say at the lodge at that particular time. They weren't there. So it was, his servant there with these, this huge gentleman. We describe him like that one, call him Carlos. It's a lawman though when that come to place of spirit, Carlos. But Carlos was that, like we testified about, showing up at 4110. Stay with him now. 4110 Old Lynn Road. No, let me rewind. 4110. God's still working in that area. What was it? Let it come back through place of spirit. Was it 6046 Old Winter Garden Road? We'll make sure we check that. Every time we hit this area right here, it gets very, very windy. Walk everywhere else, you don't get that real big wind. Every time a servant come right here on this side, over here where we have the city furniture, it gets really, really windy. But while we were there, let's stay with him because we're about to close. When the servant was in that little small gold building, there on Old Winter Garden Road, 6046 Old Winter Garden Road. And the big fella walked in there with Kim. That was her husband. And he was in the Catholic Church. And he had never been in a Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized kind of ministry. And that's the one we talked about. His name was Carlos, and we slapped the oil on him. That's all we did. We didn't try to, MD ain't gonna try to muscle down no 300-pound individual of no kind, male or female. it just ain't happening. Just put that all on it. We say slap it, but MD don't be slapping nobody. Slap somebody. No, MD don't be slapping nobody. Put that all on that boy, and I'm telling you that at 300 pounds, like Jello, just swithered down and hit that floor. So we compare him, because then one of those 2 movers comes back in place of spirit. Name was Carlos. Carlos was one of them name. Could have been his name. But his spirit was off, and he come in the unit and he's throwing things, and he's hitting the wall, and he's dropping his tool bag down on the floor harshly, and his spirit was off. And his servant went to speak to him, and all he wanted to do was talk Spanish, but he spoke English well. We can't end up in no third world country where everybody speaks a language we don't understand. By that time, I'm going to pull out my third language, and that's the Holy Ghost. Yoke number 2. And so he's throwing things. Now, we didn't know why he was there, that he had damaged a piece of our furniture. He damaged one of the lamps. He just threw what he threw and had it all broke. We got a little picture of it. Just hit it and just messed up a little lamp. You can't really hit them kind hard, but he hit the light. How about that? He hit the light. And you know how MD is about that light. And his attitude was so off. His posture, everything about him was off. And so when I went to speak to him and I went to ask him a question, he snapped. What? In my first time he did it, his servant, let it slide. You understand? But I could just kind of like look at the oldest son that we have, and you know, in about 4 more years here before, he ain't never ever answered his servant with the word what. Not ne'er son we have ever answered his servant with what. And those are like some chilling words when you ask them something, they what? And that's what he did. Now the first time he did it, maybe. And so he just kept on. They kept hearing now two individuals delivering furniture. One's an older guy and one's like middle age, but he's huge. And you have them, and you're that little one in the room, and they are speaking in Spanish. So I'm gonna ask you now, can you speak in English? When I went to go ask him, can you speak in English? Because we know you've heard MD have to do it before, and if we did it once, we'll do it again. And when we went to ask him, he did it for the second time. What? All right, now you don't get a pass. Now you don't get to do that. You don't get to talk to MD that way. No, you don't. So seeing that we saw that, you know, well, mother, you know, no, you don't know, all this going on in the world, you know, people going through a lot. Even when you're going through a lot, you still can't take it out on the next man. You got to be able to handle yourself. You understand? It ain't the next man's fault. You got to be able to, I like that word, how we hear DJT talk about pressure. You got to be able to deal with pressure. And if you feel like you off in the wind somewhere, that's why MD don't like being around trees and around trees. You don't know what's blowing on you. Like to stand up underneath them. We'll sit out here in the sun because it's a breezy day kind of thing. We don't like being around trees. We don't have nothing against trees, but we love that open air, you know, this is fine. This is perfect. Oh. Now people got to learn how to control that anger. They got to learn how to, you know, and it's plenty of help, and it's not meds. It's not pills that make you worse. Make you dependent. None of that. So he's off and he's dropping and still throwing things, and then you know, by the third time, because he did it again, because after I saw him do that, and he said what? I was going to ask him, could he speak in English, because I did say that to him. Can you speak in English? And about the third time, you know, I'm asking him, you know, this part of that second time, I'm asking him, is everything all right? You know, are you okay? Let's rewind that. The second time I asked, are you all right? Are you okay? You understand? Because he's throwing things everywhere, and he's got that huff and puff, and he's got to come up 18 steps. So I don't know if that made him mad or not, or madder, I don't know. And so, you know, he didn't respond, but he's speaking English well, and I know he spoke English well because of, you know, when I first greeted him and things like that. Met him outside. I know he speaks English well. Both of them did. And amazes, you know, that MD gonna stick up somewhere in here, so I have to say this. It's amazing that, and this is powerful, even though it's a place of humor for a servant, for MD. How about that? That most people that act like they don't speak English because they don't want to. So a truck just went by with Covenant on it. Because they want to act like, you know, they don't understand, so that they don't have to either like pay you your money or do right by you. So me speak no English. We don't speak no English. Blah blah blah. We don't do that. But let something come down to the point of you owe them money. They can speak money real well. So that's why you have to have people in office that can speak money real well, because money is a language that everybody know. Even the poor know, you know, about money. Money is no, you know, difficult word to say. Even if they don't speak no English, they know money. And when you go mess with their money, then you see how much they do and can speak English. Here comes some more human side, because we don't really try to, and how MD is about that tribe. We really don't want to make nobody mad, MD, without that E-cup today. It's like with MD, you're going to find, this is, we're not ashamed of our past. We do have a past, and we have a PAST that has really been on the reverse side. When we look at it through light, it's what today is our PASS. And because we have a past, and we wouldn't trade that past for nothing in the world, MD would not be this close to light and be able to see the things we see and hear in place of spirit the way we hear if we hadn't had this past life. So let me speak to leaders, future leaders, especially any of you who have ever been locked up for the sake of the gospel. Only for the sake of the gospel. When you're talking about, you doing something, if you didn't know, you didn't know. And that's why God intervened for some of us. And, But when his servant was locked up, over some 20 years ago, this is how strong the enemy did not want I Am Sent Me to even get off the ground. And when his servant was locked up, there was a Spanish-speaking person that came in the cell, that little holding cell, whatever you want to call it. And she was really acting up. She was really putting on a scene. Sometimes you just got to lose folks that just want to be nosy. You got to lose them, and then you say something, they get stuck right on there. Just like if somebody was to use a curse word right now, that's all they would hear is a curse word. But we're praying for those, especially even leaders. You have to allow your ears to be desensitized. You're going to have to hear the one that cursed. You don't know what's going on. You're going to have to hear the one that had been locked up. You're going to have to hear the one, you understand, that's been through all types of things that maybe you think are unthinkable, things you wouldn't even imagine, if you're going to help them, if you're going to be a part of them being saved. And so she was really, wanting the attention of the officers and all, so she could get out of there and all. And so she really started throwing a fit. And when the officer come to the cell, the holding cell, and was wanting her to be quiet, she got louder. And at that time, I'm with Bridget. I call them that. I was with Bridget and I was with Tanya. And they're my witnesses, Tanya and Bridget. And she is throwing one of the most hissy fits you could ever hear being thrown. I mean, she was throwing it. And I looked over at him, and the Spirit revealed to me that she could speak English, but she was letting them know she couldn't speak English. I'm still here. Because which one? Rooms to go or city furniture? Light is something you can see to make your life easy. And the servant looked over at them and said to them, as the Spirit revealed to his servant, she speaks English and she speaks English well. So after she threw such a fit, they got out of the cell and everything, and whatever they needed to have done to calm her down or whatever. But later on, when they're sending us to our cells, I'm telling you, y'all, this, oh my goodness. And you wonder why his servant is such an advocate against the injustice, against the corrupt system, against the wrong that had been done to the righteous. It's because we're not just telling you what somebody told us. We said anytime you hear a servant talk, it's based on experience, enlightenment, and encounters. It means we've been through some things. Standing up for righteous. I feel Jesus. That's the third yoke. May every yoke be destroyed by the power of God. Well, mother, did she speak English well? She sure did, because we all ended up in that one, when they take you to the cell, out of the holding cell to the cell. Bridget, Tanya, Bridget, they're his servant witness. When they called her name, because somebody bailed her out, when they called her name, she stopped by his servant first, as Tanya was on one side and Bridget was on the other side, and they wanted to keep me warm because it's cold inside them cells. They wanted to keep mother warm. And they were kind of, they definitely are healthy. A healthy kind of people. That mean you'll understand. They thick. That's what they call them, thick. That's what they call them. No pun intended. And between the two of us, they're my witness. There is a servant witness. They are his servant witness. And that one that act like she couldn't speak English, but the Spirit revealed she could. Said it to, at that time, the two daughters in the gospel, said it to them. When they called her name, she stopped in front of his servant and she says, "Here, take my blanket." His servant, kid you not. The two daughters, in the gospel looked at me and said, "Mother, you said." Yep, because the Spirit revealed. So they spoke English well, but they chose to speak Spanish because they were doing things that they know that they shouldn't do. So in places like that, MD got to tap in place of Spirit so we can know what you're doing, because we don't speak Spanish unless the Spirit revealed to us what you're saying and what you're doing. So now here come the third time, and I asked him, now that, speak English. I asked him, I said, "Can you speak English? Because you speak English well." If he could snap and say, "What, like that? Oh, you speak English well." Yeah, you speak English real well. He threw his own self under the bus because of how he said what. That told me, yeah, you speak English real well. So because he was very, there's a word, we're still looking for that word. The Lord gave me a specific word to put as to describe his behavior. So I put that down, and unless the Spirit bring it to us, that's how we know, because MD don't major in big words, long words. We come from a small town, but we've never allowed that to be what hindered. And so because he was that way, we go downstairs, and now he's taking the first sofa downstairs, and to his servant, it was alarming when we got downstairs. The servant arrived downstairs and had to lift up their eyes, and lo and behold, a brand new sofa. He just took it out there and just laid it on the ground. We were just finished with heavy rains, and he just laid it on the ground. Now this is 7-Eleven, so from 626, 72, and 7-Eleven, 3 strikes you out. Like I said the first time, you got to hit a home run. And looked over and saw that. Now he want to deliver one up, and I'm like, could only imagine. Now it is told on what's been happening to furniture, that end up being warped, ripped, punctured, is seeing how he handled that piece of furniture. How he handled it so roughly. Yeah, it can really get torn up under these conditions. And then you'd have to look at the size of this individual. And I'm sure if they don't want to lift it and they're like maybe overweight in size, they just throw it out there, or just, like they did, let it hit every step. So it just bouncing off the step, going down the steps. So if it wasn't damaged, it's damaged now. And so we were having that conversation. And like we said, what is MD? MD ain't fighting no big old man like that, unless I'm going to tell him what, only one time before we had to let him know what the dealio was going to be. Dealio. Those are words that come through the Spirit to get rid of folks that just like, want to just like, be in your conversation and don't even know what you're talking about. You say something like, did she just say that? Absolutely. And we can talk about that too, from the days of the military. But nevertheless, when we had to tell another one that size, we wasn't in no church at that moment. So, we had to, revert to a mother who was a, big old tough cookie that shared with me as a daughter, and being small and little, how to take down a big person. So that's the only time. There was another time we had to do it, but this time, we wasn't going there because we know better. We couldn't blame it on nothing else. But two wrongs don't make a right, no matter how you look at it. Two wrongs don't make no right. So just because his spirit was off, no, we're not going there. So called one of my sons, got a hold of one of them, the oldest one, who actually really was within walking distance, but it was a little distance from that unit, the lodge. Called him, let him know what was going on. Do you need me to come? No, son, by the time you get here, I'm sure they're going to already be gone. Well, I'm coming anyway. Now, this is someone that had Achilles. They messed up his Achilles, and he had on hardback shoes. About a little over a year or so ago, he messed up his Achilles. I believe I'm calling that right. And just a beautiful day. And we sent them some things and all. And we believe God to heal it without any, hospitalization, no medicine, none of that. You understand? And he did as he was told, and, helped him in some items that he wanted. And here now he's back in his shoes, and to think that in hardback shoes, he ran from his place of work all the way to that unit, got there like he was in a vehicle. Like he was in a vehicle, looked up and there he was. But by that time, when I'm holding him up to stay there, to make sure they got everything, they took off so fast because they knew one of them was coming. And but before they could leave, we let them know you're going to take both of them. You're not going to leave any. If this one should have went back on day one, go ahead and take this one back, because we're not. This is at Rooms to Go, you all. This is, we didn't get the one over here that was like a gray blue, but it was very, very nice. It was very quality furniture. We end up going with something, nice fabric, something cozy, something relaxed, you really could relax on. Vices, if I get this one here, I might be very picky about who I'm going to let sit on the sofa with me, kind of thing. So let's get this one over here. It's got that rough fabric, and, it might be a little bit more durable for his servant, should, we have someone invite someone to that MD platform for Light and Life to discuss some issues of his servant. And so we said to him, and he's like, no, I won't be taking it back. And I don't care about the other person who let you look at the sofa. That's not what I do. And I want to keep it wrapped because that's the way it's supposed to come. Now he's speaking English. No, I'm saying what he said in English because, yes, his servant knew he spoke English well. So he's just really going at it. Come downstairs and he's talking to his supervisor, but he's not honest with his supervisor. I asked him, could I speak to his supervisor? Got on his supervisor. By the time I spoke to his supervisor like, get both pieces. So that was like, I know that kind of made him a little bit more hot. People, boy, they hit you nowadays, and when they hit you, boy, they get attitudes, but they run in back of you. You're the cause of the situation. But nevertheless, with the disposition that he presented himself that day on 7-11, we like, you go ahead, take both pieces. We're done here. And there are some people in the world, some folks, especially males. It's alarming though, but stay with us, and we're about to close, because if you had to choose, you see that we put emphasis on that had to choose. Which one would you choose? I wouldn't choose neither one, and we ain't talking to you. You're one of those ones that don't know, that's in trouble, that need to know. You wonder why you're having problems, because you won't make a decision. If it's yes or no, black or white. And then that's it. You don't even have to explain. Well, what do you mean no? No. Can I have $100? No. What do you mean no? I had to come back and say, because it's my money? No. No is no. It is what it is. So when we, let him know you take it back, he wanted to flex on that moment. And like, I ain't taking nothing back, yada, 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 yada. And I said to him in a nice, calm way, because just because we're the skin tone that we are, don't mean we always got to have a loud voice. People know, folks know, even demons know the voice of authority without you ever having to raise your hand or a fist or pull a knife. You understand? We've had to do all of those things, as little as his servant is. We've had to do all that to, like, let those around that was bigger than we were, let them know we ain't ever scared. Just because we little, don't mean we scared. But when we found Christ the right way, we realized we can't go that way. Especially when you have a call and a chosenness upon your life. You have to take it to another place in spirit and let the Spirit fight for you. And so, he ended up bringing it back, and so now we really got to talk refund. I'm sure if it had stayed there on 7-11, then they still want to return after return after return. But no, it's time for you to get it together and own up to, this right here, this is on us. This is not on the customer. Like we said to the gentleman, we said to him, I don't even want to call him a gentleman. Let's not get too happy right there. We said to the individual, a certain man, we said to him that, this is you pleasing the customer. It's the customer that you're to satisfy, and if something's wrong, shouldn't you be wanting to make it right with your customer? And so he was, like we said, we don't know what happened at Stop 8, but somehow he carried that spirit, whatever got on him over there to that unit, and he met the right one when he got to that unit. When he got to that lodge, he met the right one. And so here now, and he had no choice but to take both of them, because he has now put a brand new sofa out on the lawn after a heavy rain and all. So he had no choice. His supervisor said, get both of them. Look at them. They arguing. They actually are arguing. The one that hit each other. People hit you nowadays. They won't wait for the police, and they want to run off. And then they think they're gonna gang up on you because they got 3 or 4 people in a truck, and you by yourself. This is the world we living in. I'm telling you, people are angry. And they won't talk civil. They hollering and fussing with one another. You understand? Let me get up out of here. And so today, after being a long, drawn-out situation, and we have names, we'll attach them. We made the one call, one young lady wanted to flex. I don't even want to call her lady. Let me back out of that. Another CC moment. A certain female up in there wanted to flex her muscles, and then she was going to talk about there being no refund. And we don't do that. When they want to get out of it, and but then they found out all this was done within 48 hours, and it ain't on MD, it's on you. Everything's coming back to you for not wanting to do it the right way. I shared all this with the individual because here come another day. We'll put the more information here. But here come this final day that I'm coming. I'm coming now, and I'm going down here to see what the real problem is. Because too many people are on the phone professing to be a supervisor, professing to be the one to do it, giving me multiple information. So let me just come to the store. So not only did we come down here on the 11th, we also had that one day we had to come down here again. We'll put the date here in the comments. But this time when we come, and I saw him over there in the corner before. His servant saw him over there in that corner before, but he was quiet. He didn't say much. But this time when we come, I'm coming to the front window and I'm saying to whoever's there, I would like to speak to your supervisor, your general manager, whoever's here, whoever is over this store. That's the one that, would like to speak to. And so he heard me, and I'm saying I would like to speak to the supervisor. Now he's coming, little short person, he's coming to the window. And I said, are you the supervisor? And he says to me, we can't afford one. That's what he said. And of course he was gesturing and laughing, but that, those kind of things, that's not funny for his servant. Not even MD. It didn't even crack a smile. So he, give me a second, and he comes around out of the office. He comes and he talks to me. I declare yoke after yoke after yoke after yoke. And he politely asks me to sit down. Can we sit down and can we talk? And so we talk. I didn't go in there, where's my refund? Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Now here comes the side of MD, because this can't be so serious. Light is just that light. MD gonna tell it like it is. Because when we said it like that, you're going to give him my money, then all of a sudden we had a flashback of the day sitting down in a Social Security place for my dad when he first came in the city, getting everything straightened out for him. And a certain female come in, and the lady behind the window was as nice as she could be, and she was of a Caucasian, and there was this black female. So it's a black on white kind of thing. And the white lady was really doing her best to be nice. And she was like, ma'am, there is no more check coming. There's no more check coming this month. And she was being as nice as she could. And then, because I'm just showing you that some people can come in there with of this skin tone and owing such an amount of money can have a little attitude, and they come in with the fight. They're going to tear up your store or something before they get up out of there. They're going to be like saying what she said, you're going to give me my money. But MD didn't take no son, because we know how they are over their mother. No, you don't get to take this trip. MD can handle MD. We handle myself. And so she's like, you gonna give me my money? The white lady's like, ma'am, that's all you're going to get this month. So she got to that high rage, high pitch. Nowadays they do have them little alarms underneath the desk or something like that you could hit and silently call the, law enforcement on the scene. So that's what she did. Next thing you know, MD look up with my dad. He thank God, R.I.G. My father, rest in glory. And my daddy's looking at me, and I'm looking at my daddy, and my daddy, he's just gonna laugh, so I'm gonna laugh with him. It's like, and he's shaking his head, and I'm shaking my head with him, because we know what time it was. Looked up, and they say, you know, here come a female law enforcement and a male law enforcement, and they come in and they position themselves, one to the left and one to the right. And she still won't calm down. She still won't be quiet. By that time, you should have a hint. Respect, you know, some type. Honor or some, I don't know. MD don't know. You know. And we say that with light. You understand? Because sometimes you look at folks and they do make you shake your head as if you know, you don't know what to say about them. Like, you know, like you don't have a clue really. You really don't know what's going on, and so you have to shake your head like, you know, some folks just don't know what's really going on with them. I'm telling you, when they have all this light, all this Google, all this internet, children nowadays no more than the parents, adults. And she's at high pitch, and the lady, the white lady behind the window couldn't get her to be quiet. Couldn't get her to, you know, go on and, you know, wait till next month. And she's still there with the officers on one side of her. She gonna give me my money. And when them officers look like you about to get locked up, we're about to take out these handcuffs and take you with us. You can go peacefully, or you can go, you know, screaming, bucking, howling, any way you want to. When she saw the seriousness of that law enforcement, this is what she did. She went speaking in tongues. My dad looked over at me and said, it's too late. So we went in there with peace. See, certain things you go through in life, it'll give you that humble spirit. No, we're not going in there like that. That's why, sons, you stay out of this one. Sit down and had a decent conversation. One said in 48 hours. That didn't happen because now we're in the month of August, so that didn't happen. And this was since June the 20th. The first delivery date was June the 26th. A week prior to that is when we had, you know, come to make that purchase. And we did so with cash, but no more. Won't ever do that again. Never knew that you, in stores like this, you pay cash, you're not getting cash back. Alarming that stores don't keep cash on them anymore. But that was a lesson we learned. We won't ever do that again. My financial consultant, y'all know who that is. That's my oldest son. And he said to me, you talk to me before you do things like that. But I was on my way to the bank, and we were. And we just made that one stop like there, and we had the cash on us, like, you understand? So it's like no matter what, that's not a transition you want to make or a transaction, because anybody could claim the money, get the money, put the paperwork in, make like it, and that's why they couldn't find no paperwork, like, you know, as far as like the conversations and all of that, and who spoke to who and what, where, yada yada yada. But which one would you choose? Well, we know not to go back to rooms to go, only to get if we can't cash the check that they gave, because they put it in MD and my last name, because that's, y'all know, that's just the shortness of Mother Doris, MD, most disciplined. That's also a short title for that. Basically, it is most disciplined that MD come out of. And also we share with you how Vicky, God rest her soul, that's the first one that ever called his servant MD, and she was a 20-year retired veteran from the prison system. So she had a right, and in friendship, to call MD that. So it stuck with MD for a long time to this day. but they ran that by us, and we looked at it, and I'm like, so you really don't have my name on it, whatever, but we'll see if it, we'll talk to our bank and see if they'll do it. If not, we'll just come back and they'll reissue another one. But when we met with him, I let him know I'm going to hit that review of yours, because that's not how things is. It's not how you handle business. And after having that conversation, after one said 48, another one said 7 to 10 business days, and had it in writing, and none of it took place because they weren't communicating with the actual people that cut the check. Found that out. And all this was happening. They say when the cat's away, the mouse will play. You have so many people, and back to leaders before we close this here. We have so many people that when you're not there, they really want to be in charge. And so when we gave her the name of one person and said she was the supervisor, he said, I never had anybody by that name as a supervisor. So when the cat is away, or whatever you want to call them, the mouse will play. So you have people putting themselves in position wanting to squash the thing before the actual manager or the person that's in charge get back, and just let the paperwork fly through it as if nothing happened. But you and your persistent self, don't quit, don't give up, don't throw in the towel. You bring the closure, you bring the end, you bring the finale, you bring the finish. You're the finishing touch to a final approval. And so we just, that third time going, because we heard the Spirit say, go now. Only the Spirit knew that the supervisor was on a vacation for a week, then had another couple of days where he wasn't in the store. So he didn't have anything going on, didn't know anything about what was going on. But when he come back, and him and I had that conversation, sitting there talking like, CEO to CEO. When we had that conversation, he that was his first time hearing about it. And he said to me he would break the rules that day if he had cash on board to give me the cash. All right. I thought he was just talking till I got out of the store, and driving down the road, the Lord had me to look in his eyes and saw his eyes while driving down the road, and says he's an honest man. Oh, you understand? There wasn't no shiftiness in him. The Lord said he was, according to his eyes. I looked him dead in the eyes, and the Lord said to me while driving off after everything was, had that conversation, he said, if the cash was here, I'd give it to you. I'd break the rule and give you the cash today, because that's not how it's supposed to be done. And he said that your name was on my desk, paperwork was on my desk, and I was to call you when I come in. I don't know why he didn't, because now it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and not today, y'all. We're just giving some backstory to this, the back testimony. How about that? Because there's no stories we have to tell. And so I'm like, when he said that, I wanted to ride on that, like, okay, it's like after 5 o'clock, you mean to tell me it's going to take you till this time to give me a call if I'm the first thing on your desk? But we had to give a benefit of a doubt, because we know that in position like this, things call MD off, and it be your very, you can have it the fresh thing on your mind. I need to do this first thing in the morning. And then something comes that may seem more precedent than what you have going on. So leader to leader, we had to give that benefit of a doubt. But he said to me, I said to him, well, this one that said she was a supervisor said to give it 4 to 6 weeks. And then she said you would mail it to me. He said that's not how it's done. The check always comes into the store. Since you paid cash and we don't have the cash, a check will come to the store, and you can come pick it up. And I said, well, can you give us an ETA, a time, estimate time of arrival when that'll be? And he was like, well, somewhere about 7 to 10 business days, but call me sometime next week, and if you haven't heard from me, and I'll let you know what's going on. But I didn't even get to do that. The servant didn't get to do that. Next thing I know, I'm caught up in the day and happened to look at my call log, and we had missed the call that went to the silent and we didn't get that call. And when we went to the voicemail, sure enough, it was the store. He had the individual to call to come pick up the refund check. And so we had to, instead of like looking over everything else, we had to thank the Lord. Lord, I thank you. Before we could get into any, even that day after we left, before we could get into like all the wrongs that was going on, we had to take that moment and say, Lord, forgive us for looking so much at the wrong that we couldn't see that you was saying to us, I'm going to give you that refund check no matter what. Good God, I'm going to give it back to you no matter what. This would be one of the ones that have to go against policy to do right by their customer. So we'll see if we can deposit it as is. Yes, we do have our mail and all that have MD on it like that. So if they don't, then, we'll just come back and no problem and have them reissue it the right way. And because normally when we sign anything, we sign it M with the D, but we always spell out our first name and all. And they didn't catch that, and they just wrote the check out to MD. So we'll see. How about that? But if we had to choose, well, Mother, if you had to choose, Rooms to Go, here it comes, or City Furniture. City Furniture was our first choice. And we should have stuck with that first choice. And even if it wasn't something we didn't, even though it was the sofa wasn't the exact color, then we should have just walked away like, oh, that's, okay. And kept it moving. Hope you hear that. And kept it moving and all. And because when we got over here, oh my goodness, what a runaround. What a distasteful, and thank God for either one or two that really will step up. You understand? And let you know that even though I'm in here with all these not good apples, and even if I'm a part of the apple that's no good, you understand? If you cut off this part or cut off that part or this part, you can still see there's a little bit of good here still. And so as a store manager, he stepped up. And he got that refund within days. We'll give him the 3 days rather than the 7 to 10 business days. We'll say about 3 days. And that refund, I was given that call. We'll put everything and make it all accurate. We'll put it all date by date so you can see and all. But we can tell you it did not take 7 to 10 business days, and nor did it take 4 to 6 weeks. And so we appreciate that. Them two Dime-alicious, we knew something was up in the air. And thank God we wasn't forced to keep something that was of damage or anything like that and waste money. Thank God Bop 18 stepped in it. And we didn't even have to use no violent tone, no violent way, no nothing. But talk to one, even though it was a female to a male. We know that some males can't listen to a female. We had an encounter with the delivery person and all. But we were able to talk to this person here. He listened to his servant listened to him. We didn't interrupt one another. Had a very civil conversation and all. And he proved to be a man of his word. And that's all we need nowadays, is a man that can stand on his word. And so we received the refund check. We'll see that, and we'll see if we can, first time out, let's see if we don't have any issues or problem with it. My bank, they know me and all, so we'll see. All right, so that being said, if we had to choose, since we're no longer at the rooms, you'd have to see the 31 rooms. We're no more there. We are at the city. So if we had to choose, we would definitely choose City Furniture. All right. I'm Mother, his servant, founder of I Am Sent Me, builder of the Signature Storehouse, carrier of yes, this is that place where we saw that cyber vehicle. And as nice as it was, we're like, nah, I really don't want nothing like that to drive around with. But it would be a nice gift. Like we said, we have 4 sons. That'd be a nice gift. I'm sure one of them would drive it. But nevertheless, it would be city, as we attach this also to a Go City. This will be a part of Go City and Feet in Action. And also this is that might, could, should. This will be the video, our live video for the leaders of the future, leaders over small ministries, leaders over all denominations, because we have to make those decisions without the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or I don't know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or is it all the above? No. Yes or no. Black or white. All right? All right. I know y'all want me to say, well, Mother, what about blue or red? We can hear you. What about blue or red? No, it ain't even blue or red. We're going to talk more about that. You saw us did the blue, the red, the white, and the black. All right? And we showed you what the black represented for us was not a skin tone, but it was spirit. And that's, if we were to close this one right here and help the leaders over small ministries and leaders over large denominations, and wonder why MD don't do church. And for this light is that we're not going to be limited. We're not going to be limited. That's the reason for the blessing of promise. That's the reason for the Bible. No limitations, no restrictions. You understand? Didn't come to do away with the law, but to fulfill it. We know that the courthouse need help, so the storehouse wants to step up. All right, all of that, right? And so red or blue, no, we don't make no decisions there. We pray. And those that are close and they hear us and know God speaks to us, but they vote, we don't be like you, and you're going to hell for voting. We don't do that. All right, until they get that light, until they come to the place where I'ma just pray. I just won't just throw my vote out there. No, vote is not somebody. Voting is not something, or the right to vote. Look, there go that FedEx. Is not an option. It's not optional. It's not you threatening to take my vote because we don't vote. You understand? That's our right. That's our right as a citizen of the United States of America. And by the time, and hopefully they get this light, they're going to get rid of all that racial profiling and all, and coding and all of that. And why can't they just put on that paperwork, a citizen of the United States? Get rid of that race. You understand? That causes division. So, but MD doesn't stand in the way of those that do vote. But we do hope that you would get a discernment and that you would hear God, hear spirit, you see, and that you will go for right and not for wrong. And if you hold people pass over them, especially those that, may never have had an encounter with God, never had a moment where God could prove himself to them and in their lives. And then one day they start tapping in on God. And they start mentioning that God name and calling him out of his name. And letting you know that they know that name. They know Jesus. You hear Jesus, you hear Christ. You understand? Those are the words you focus in on. And if you think they play with God, oh, that person playing with God, you can't play with God. You play with your life, but you can't play with God. And so, we have to, if you're going to vote, vote right. You understand? Seek God based upon knowing God. Because all the reason why we're, going like this, yes or no, rooms to go or city furniture, may that be the Bohoshaya. Yes, Lord. May that Mahasa. Yes, Lord. May that be the final yoke destroyed by the power of God. We went right, but ended up coming left. Even though it looked, blue, that was the perfect color, the blue or whatever like that, we should have stayed over here. Y'all gonna catch it in the wind. You understand? We should have stayed right there, and since we wasn't really out that day looking for the furniture, that blue sofa, when they didn't have it, we should just like, well, let me just, because we done already done the rooms, let me just stay with that red and white over there. You understand? And all these colors over here. It just stayed right over there. And when seeing that they didn't have what a servant really want, but they had the fabrics and all, we could have took the time, come back and did it then. Now we know, we learn. You understand? We learn. We learn to live. Learn and live, learn and live, learn and live. And so we had that figured out, that's done. And all, and we'll see what happens after this. Basically, this has been a moment, we've had a moment too where we could put in this time here and let all the traffic look like all the traffic out on the main road and thinned out. Now we can get up the highway, but we'll come back and we'll have a part 2 with this here. Because if you get lost in them colors and don't hear the Spirit, then this is where his servant will close right here. This is where we, where God and I, we go at it. Because after a while, you be like, Lord, but it's just a hard head, stiff neck, bent over backwards, don't want to live right kind of folks that's in this church stuff. And they don't want to hear God. You look over here at those trees. Their trees don't look like they keep their trees up. Over here, their trees are the things. But if you look at theirs, everyone I've looked at those right here, the Spirit gave us to see this, that all their trees don't have, their trees right here, you understand, don't have one dead thing on it. Perhaps they'll see this video and like, ooh, we better get on those trees. We better get that stuff off of there, because it represents you. From your tree, it represents you. You understand? You understand? It does. It represents you. So maybe they, to them it's like, oh. But then you see it, and then somebody pointed that out. Let me get on that. So that being said, we're gonna come back with that part 2. Let you know, see if it flies by our bank, or if we got to come back, because this was some type of experience and all. But this is where we're going to close. Leaders, make sure that we're talking to those that look up to us, that we do not give them misinformation and all. And we're gonna, this is what the Spirit said before we go out there in the wind again, put it here. This is the reason why we're going to and you've heard it, but we're going to play it in its entirety. As difficult as it was, I still came. And then it talks about truth. It's not talking about Donald Trump. It's not talking about a woman being president. It's talking about truth. So we'll give that light to you and all. And as we are playing it, and it is going over the air and AATW all around the world, we will come in every now and again so we can bring you up to the time in which we are now, because that one particular is now called a classic cassette. That classic cassette, we ministered that back in the year 2003, and a lot has changed since 2003. All right. Well, until we put this part 2 together, we're going to say, to God be that glory.